Hey guys, what's going on? Dr. Frank here, founder of Addiction Mindset Recovery Coaching. And today we're going to ask the question and answer it. Is nicotine good or is vaping good for someone who suffers from ADHD? Now, here at Addiction Mindset Recovery Coaching, we help people quit nicotine, THC, energy drinks, pornography, and a whole host of other addictions. So be sure to subscribe and ask questions if you find this content valuable. Now, by no means is this medical advice. This is just a review of the topic. That's all this is. So talk to your doctor about it. When someone has ADHD is often viewed as a deficiency of dopamine, okay? Now, dopamine is a neurotransmitter that's released in your brain that, yes, it makes you feel good, but more importantly, it reinforces a behavior. That's what makes nicotine products so addicting. When someone vapes, when someone consumes tobacco products, nicotine releases a lot of dopamine in the brain. Now, your brain then will focus on that thing. So nicotine releases dopamine and your brain says, okay, I want more nicotine. I want to repeat that behavior over again. Exercise is another thing that releases dopamine. That's why so many people enjoy exercising. Now, when people are prescribed medications for ADHD, we'll take Ritalin, for example. The goal of Ritalin is to prevent the breakdown of dopamine in the brain, making more dopamine available to the individual suffering from ADHD. So this is good. You have a dopamine deficiency, you take a drug that prevents the breakdown of dopamine in the brain, and ideally this person can function better. They don't have that hyper-reactive behavior, they're able to focus more, they're able to get more work done, in theory. So you would look at nicotine as a nootropic, and you would say, okay, this is probably a good thing for someone with ADHD. Nicotine releases more dopamine once it's consumed in the body, and someone with ADHD has a dopamine deficiency. Here's where we start to run into trouble. Remember, dopamine reinforces a behavior. So if you start vaping or you start consuming tobacco products, chances are you are going to get addicted. You're going to develop an addiction. And I think anyone with ADHD can understand it's easy to become obsessed with something. You kind of become hell-bent on it if you get focused on that thing. If that thing releases enough dopamine to make you focus on it. So short term, yes, there is potentially some benefit. And there's studies saying that there's benefit to nicotine and people who suffer from ADHD. But what about the long-term effects of that? Well, what happens is that short-term focus turns into a long-term focus, an obsession on the substance. That's why so many people who struggle from ADHD or struggle with ADHD develop substance use disorders. They're more prone to do things like cocaine. They're more prone to use nicotine. They're more prone to abuse stimulants over the course of their life. It has also been proven that it's more challenging for people with ADHD to quit these addictions. So my concern becomes, you're getting that short-term burst of dopamine, but what's now happening? Your focus and your attention and your obsession goes into a substance versus on other things that it is you want to be accomplishing. And that, I think, becomes extremely problematic, along with all the other health consequences that you can suffer from when consuming vape products, cigarettes, chewing tobacco, whatever the nicotine product may be. Remember, there's a reward, but there's also a risk. And in the case of nicotine and how you're consuming nicotine, you have to ask yourself, is the risk outweighing the reward? How is your mental health right now? How is your physical health right now? What toll are these substances taking on your body? Are they really improving the quality of your life, or are they causing more harm than good? And that's really the bulk of this argument. Is nicotine good for people who struggle with ADHD? So often we talk about dopamine and we talk about a dopamine deficiency, and I think it's very important to remember there's natural things you can do that are going to release dopamine. One of the most important things being getting a good night's sleep, eating a healthy diet, exercising, meditating. Heck, even listening to music that you enjoy or talking to friends that bring you entertainment or joy releases dopamine. There's lots of little things you can do throughout the day, lots of lifestyle modifications that you can make that are going to have that same nootropic effect as a substance, as a drug would on your brain, except you can do those things without drugs, which I think is great. So that's really my main concern. We focus on substances for a population of people that are prone to substance use disorders. Why aren't we talking more about the healthy lifestyle modification factors that can be implemented into the lifestyle of someone who suffers from ADHD? Now, in the future, we might see a nicotine pharmaceutical. We might see some type of pharmaceutical substance that's developed for people with ADHD, and it might have tremendous benefit. But for right now, that doesn't exist. The research isn't out there to support that. It's all kind of preliminary talk. But I need you to ask yourself, is this addiction worth it? You can get addicted to whatever you want to in life, okay? Especially the ADHD brain. It can get addicted and it can become obsessed with whatever you want. What if you got obsessed with your goals? What if you got obsessed with your hobbies? What if you became obsessed with your relationships? I truly think you would be unstoppable. I think the things that you would go on to accomplish in life would be incredible. I really, truly believe that. But if you get tied up and your obsession goes to a substance or a substance use disorder, I think it's a quick recipe for disaster. That's a question I want you to ask yourself. Me into the next video where I talk a little bit about how I quit vaping and some of the benefits that I experienced. I'll see you guys there.